Hello guys and welcome to Showtime TV with me Washerage Konyo. I am your teacher today. We will be learning literature, and last time we looked at stylistic devices, we looked at irony, we looked at sarcasm, we looked at various types of stylistic devices, and today we are on our second lesson, and we are still going to look at literature, but we are going to look at oral literature. Remember that literature is divided into written literature and oral literature. And mostly oral literature is normally tested in our KCSE paper, and it is normally 20 marks, so it is very, very important that you learn what oral literature is. Now, first of all, the first question we are going to ask ourselves today is, what is oral literature? Oral literature is simply spoken literature that is performed. Spoken literature which is performed. Now, what do I mean by this? Like, for example, if we have songs, we have narratives, we have short forms and long forms, which we are going to look at as categories of oral literature. We speak them and we also perform. So, as we illustrate what oral literature is, let us go straight to the forms of oral literature that we have. Number one, as I have mentioned, we have the first category we have is songs. Number two, we have oral narratives. These are the stories. Number three, we have short forms. And number four, we have long forms. So the first category that we have in oral literature is songs. We have narratives, which are also the stories. We have short forms and long forms. Don't forget that, my dear candidates. So the first category we are going to look at is songs. Let us look at the songs that we have in oral literature, and then we see how they are spoken and how they are performed. So the first, we all know that what a song is. We sing songs every day. So we have various categories of songs. Number one, we could be having one example that have songs is love songs. Love songs. We have wedding songs. We're going to look at just a few because there are so many. We have love songs, we have wedding songs, we have dirges, which are also called funeral songs. We have patriotic songs. We have lullabies. There are so many. We can have work songs, praise songs, worship songs. We can also have war songs, which were mainly sung in the past, or also sung by our dear soldiers out there. Shout out to all our soldiers out there. So we have let's look at the first category of songs now. Love songs, you know that they express feelings of love. We sing them every day. Now, most people, if I ask them what songs are, they'll tell me R&Bs, they'll tell me blues. Those are what you call, that is what you call a genre. A genre is a category. This is a genre. A genre is a category of something, but when you look at songs, we have so many. We have love songs. We say that love songs are the ones which express feelings of love. Let me just illustrate for love songs how, you know, you speak it and then you perform. If, for example, I could take Nyashinsky songs, Uko na tabia za kupendeza roho. You see, I am performing the song and I am singing it to people. So we have love songs, we have wedding songs, we have all attended weddings, so we know the theme for wedding songs. So when you go to a wedding and you're all dressed up and you're singing, you're singing for the bride, you're singing for the bride. We have dirges. These are the ones that express, that are sung when we lose a person. during the funeral, so they are normally sad songs. We have patriotic songs, are the songs that express love for our country or for a certain culture. We have like the national anthem. We have the national anthem for Kenya is a patriotic song because it expresses love for our country. We have lullabies. Lullabies, these are songs that are sung to put the babies to slumber or to sleep. We have work songs, when you are working and probably you're singing a certain song that is related to the work, that is a work song. We have praise songs. Praise songs are normally sung to give praise to certain people. Maybe you can sing a praise song to your mom, you can sing a praise song to God, you can sing a praise song to your lover. Any song that has features of praising somebody are called praise songs. We have worship songs. These are songs that are sung to adore a supernatural being. We sing them in church. We also have worship songs probably in other religions, in Islam, in Hindu. These are songs that are sung to adore a supernatural being. Then we have the war songs, which are normally sung to encourage people when they are going for war, and also to praise the people probably if they have become victorious after war. So generally that's it about songs. So the first category I've mentioned is for oral literature is songs. So we move on to the next category, which is narratives. Narratives. Tutaniedita utekirab. So the next category that we have for oral literature is narratives. Narratives, I said, these are stories. Just to simplify the whole thing, these are stories that are normally narrated. We have so many categories of narratives. You know, we have number one, we have Oga narratives. Oga narratives, which are also called monster narratives. Now, my dear candidate, you need to be very careful with the spelling of the word Oga. Oga is O-G-R-E. Don't write O-G-E-R. It's normally O-G-R-E. If you don't remember the spelling, just say they are monster narratives. Number two, we can have trickster. Trickster narratives. We can also have ideological. These are also called explanatory. We can also have legends. We also have myths. We have, let us look at those ones mainly. So we have narratives. The first one is Oga narratives. These are stories that are told and they involve supernatural, superhuman beings. For example, you could maybe find a being there who maybe has, a big head or big eyes. Yani, these are, cut. The first category that we have for narratives is Oga narratives. So these are stories that have superhuman beings. So if you want to learn about Oga narratives, kindly go back to your Form 1 work. They are superhuman beings who have extraordinary features. Then we have number 2, we have trickster narratives. These are stories that normally involve one gullible person or one gullible character and one who is wiser than the other, and the other one character ends up tricking the other one. From the word trick. from the word trick. Then now we have ideological narratives, which are also called explanatory narratives. These are stories that explain why things are the way they are today. For example, you can have a story of why does the hyena limp. So they are mainly based on fiction. These are words that you're going to use in your exam. Fiction means that they are not true. So for example, I could say once upon a time they lived a hyena, and he was given a gift by God, but instead of following the right channel, he ended up dropping from heaven to earth, and that's why the hyena limps today. So I can have that story, but it doesn't really mean that the hyena limps because of that specific reason. That is why they say that we say that they are based on fiction. They explain why things they are the way they are today. Why does the hawk why the hawk and the hen are enemies? We have legends. These are stories that involve heroes. We have legends in our community. We have Wagwa Makeri, we have Mekatilili, we have so many legends in our society. So these are stories that explain about heroic people in our society. Then myths are the stories that have an origin. They involve a supernatural being, and they explain the origin of something. Now, the difference between an ideological narrative and a myth is that a myth has a supernatural being. If there's a mention of spirits or God and it is explaining the origin of something, that story is a myth. So there are so many narratives that we have in literature. So if you want to learn about narratives and types of narratives, please make sure that you have gone back to your Form 1 work, but generally that is a touch of what narratives are. So moving on to the next category, we have short forms. Short forms. This is another area that is normally tested. This is another area that is normally tested. Short forms. Remember, we have looked at categories of oral literature. You've looked at songs, you have looked at various types of songs. We have not exhausted all because there are so many. We have narratives. We have looked at various types of narratives. Now we are on the third category of oral literature, which is short forms. Now short forms, in this case, we have tongue twisters. We have puns. We have proverbs, and we can also have jokes. Now, tongue twisters, the short forms, from the word short form, these ones, they are very, very short. You will never find a tongue twister that is 1 page. You will only find a tongue twister that is normally maybe like 2 sentences or very, very short. That's why they are called short forms. Now, tongue twisters, these are small. These are short essays that are normally said, but the thing is that the tongue twister makes it hard to pronounce. For example, I can give an example. One in my community, in Swahili. So I can say nduthi za fika. So I can probably involve my audience and ask them, maybe one of the audience there, maybe try to say this, do this thika, but now you try to say it in a fast way. Hey, let's go, Simon. If you try to say this, you try. Yes, you can try, David. No, say it faster. Now you see. Do this Thika. I'm going to translate this in English. This is motorbikes. Thika motorbikes. Thika motorbikes. This is every time you write Thika motorbikes, That is the translation. My dear candidate, if you're given, for example, you give an example of a tongue twister or whatever you are going to give as an example in your literature, please make sure that you always write the translation in English. Don't just leave it in your language. Like for example, for me, I've written it in Swahili, but then there at the end, just down there, I'm going to write the translation. So as you can see, this is a good example of a tongue twister, because even if I try to say it, I'm going to be like, do this as this, and do this as this. I'll try. When I'm saying the words, they are not, they are not well pronounced, or probably they are bringing a little bit of confusion when pronouncing them. So tongue twisters are normally, those small, short sentences or short sayings that we say in our community that are normally done to improve pronunciation, and they are normally done also for entertainment. Let us go to puns. Puns, these are almost the same as tongue twisters, but the difference between tongue twisters and puns is that puns, we normally joke around with words. For example, I can write one down here. Most candidates will confuse tongue twisters and puns. The difference between tongue twisters and puns is that tongue twisters, you will have a difficulty in pronouncing, but puns, you will use various words and joke around them. For example, there's one common one that you normally say, can tie a tie, can tie a tie. If can tie a tie, why can't I tie a tie as can tie a tie. Okay, so most people will end up saying that this is a tongue twister. This is not a tongue twister, this is a pun, because I can easily say the words. I can say can tie a tie. If can tie a tie, why can't I tie a tie as can tie a tie? So I've just picked words and I'm just playing around with them. So that is the difference between a tongue twister and a pun. The first one for tongue twister was do this a thicker. So I am taking time to try and pronounce those words. But the second one, I am just taking various words and just forming something that is, entertaining. We go to proverbs. Proverbs, these are normally wise sayings. Wise sayings in our community. If, for example, you are brought for a proverb or a proverb in the exam, it is good that you know the use of that proverb and what that proverb means. If you give an example of a proverb in your exam, make sure in your community, make sure that if you have given it in your native language, you have given it in your you have also translated it to English. So proverbs, for example, you can have hurry has no blessings, nothing comes on a silver platter. There are so many, we cannot exhaust proverbs, and normally these wise sayings are normally used for teaching moral lessons or warning. There are so many uses of proverbs. Please, because you cannot exhaust all of them, make sure that you have also gone back to your Form 1 work and you look at what proverbs are. We are still on short forms. We have looked at tongue twisters, we have looked at puns, we have looked at proverbs. We now on jokes. This is what most stand-up comedians will do. So stand-up comedians and most comedians normally use this genre of this category of short forms, which is jokes, and that's why you'll never find a long joke. So you'll always find them very short. Another one we have also forgotten that might appear is riddles. These riddles are also called vitendawili in Swahili. So we are also going to just touch a little bit on the riddle telling session, probably in our next lesson. But riddles are also examples of short forms in literature. Now, the last category is long forms. Long forms, generally here, we can have long poems, and probably epistles. These are normally not very much tested, but it is good that we mention. Long forms are, you know, you can have a very long form, a very long poem, so that can belong to under the category of long forms, which also a category of oral literature. So we've looked at narratives, we looked at songs, short forms and long forms. You can have very long forms, very long poems, or you can have very long letters. For example, those ones that you have in the Bible. So yeah, so generally that is it. For oral literature, we said oral literature is spoken literature divided into songs, narratives, short forms and long forms, and then you have touched a little bit on the categories. So let us now, because most people will ask themselves, why do we study oral literature? Why do we study oral literature? So we can say why, reasons for studying oral literature. Reasons for studying oral literature. So, as much as we are all going digital and everything, but why do you think it is very, very important for us as students or for us to study oral literature? The first reason why it is important to study oral literature because it entertains, for entertainment. You know, when you are studying, when, for example, somebody comes and sings maybe a love song, or maybe the tongue twisters, when, for example, you're with your friends and you're trying to crack a riddle, or you try to crack a tongue twister, or you're trying to ask yourselves various proverbs. So number one is that they give us entertainment. Number two, they educate. It educates. So in terms of maybe proverbs, you can have that some proverbs will educate us about maybe various things. We can have even riddles or tongue twisters can educate us about our environment. Then you can also have number three, it helps us, teaches us about, we can also have, it can also helps us to maintain our culture. Help us to maintain our culture. So we know that culture is a way of living, is our way of living. So it is good that when we study this oral literature, we are taught about our way of living. When you have in that narrative being narrated to you in Kikuyu, in Kikamba, in whatever language that you're using, that language is your culture. So it helps us maintain our culture, because if you have in these narratives being narrated in our languages, or talking about some of the cultures that used to happen or are happening in our society, we most probably might not lose touch with our culture. Number four, reason for studying oral literature is for career purposes. Career purposes. Career purposes. That means that you can earn from, you know, teaching oral literature. You know, you can teach oral literature and you can earn your money. You can get employed as a literature teacher. So also another reason why we study oral literature is for career purposes. If you're asked maybe in the exam to give like four of them, you give, maybe if you say it's for entertainment, then you explain. You give a point and you explain, and that is how you earn your marks. So yeah, so that is it. Let me see. Let us go to the next thing maybe. So unless if our viewers have questions, I think that is it for today. We have touched a little bit on oral literature. We have said oral literature is spoken literature that is performed. We have looked at forms of oral literature: songs, narratives, short forms, and long forms. And we have looked at various categories. And we have also looked at why do we study oral literature. So thank you so much for attending my class today. I hope that is going to help you, my dear candidate, as you sit for your exam. Oral literature will obviously be tested test, so it is good that you study more about it, and it is very, very simple. So as you continue studying it, I wish you all the best in your exam, and I'll see you on the next lesson. I've been your teacher for today, Wachera Gikonyo, and I will see you on the next lesson. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe.